So students, first we will be discussing about the plant-like protists. So we will be discussing the classification of plant-like protists in detail. So plant-like protists, they are also called as algae. So all the algae have been kept under this category of kingdom Protista. Why are they called as called as plant-like protists? Because they show some of the characteristics of plants. So what are algae? Algae they are chlorophyll bearing organisms with undifferentiated tissues that never form true roots, true stems, or true leaves. So algae are chlorophyll bearing organisms, and here you can see the term undifferentiated tissues. So we have already discussed the same thing before, that kingdom Protista includes those organisms which are either unicellular or colonial, or they may be multicellular but which do not form true tissues. They are grouped under kingdom Protista. So algae qualify for the same. As such, they are kept under kingdom Protista. So algae, they are chlorophyll bearing. That means they bear chlorophyll. They have chlorophyll in them. They have chloroplast, and chloroplast they contain the chlorophyll pigment, which they with the help of which they perform photosynthesis. They are organisms with undifferentiated tissues. As such, because undifferentiated tissues are there are undifferentiated tissues. So as such, true roots, true stems, and true leaves, which are found in actual plants, which are found in true plants. Okay. What are the characteristics of true plant? That they have true roots, they have stem, and they have leaves. So such kind of tissue differentiation it is not same in case of algae. So algae may be multicellular, they may be unicellular. For example, you can see this figure. This is Chlamydomonas. This is a single cell or unicellular algae, and these are all multicellular algae. This is the colonial algae volvox. So they may be unicellular, they may be colonial, or they may be multicellular. But when they are multicellular, they do not have differentiated tissue. They have undifferentiated tissue. As such, they do not form true roots, stem, or leaves. The structure with which they are attached to the substratum, that is called as the holdfast, okay, and the stem-like structure it is called as the style, and body of the alga it is called as the thallus. Okay, so it is not differentiated into true roots, true stems, or true leaves as is seen in case of the plants. That's why they were taken out from the plant kingdom and kept under kingdom Protista. So algae they are mainly aquatic. So mainly algae they are aquatic. That means they are present in either fresh water or marine water. But some may be found growing on soils, rocks, or other damp and shaded surfaces. So wherever they are growing either on soil or rocks, it should be damp, and they are majorly found in shaded surfaces. Why shaded surfaces? Because if they are directly exposed to sunlight, they will water will dry, desiccate, and they will die. So mostly algae they are aquatic. That means they are found in water, either marine water or fresh water, and some may be found growing on moist soil, rocks, or damp areas. But condition is that that area should be shaded. Whenever the sun desiccates or evaporates the water, the algae will start dying there. Now, their shapes may be in the form of sheets, filaments, balls, or ribbons. So algae they have many variety of shapes. They can be unicellular or multicellular. When they are multicellular, they may exist in different shapes. So, like this is a ball-like shape. This is a sheet-like algae. So they appear like algae, but they appear like plants, but they are not plants because their body is not differentiated into true tissues. They do not have true roots, stem, or leaves, and they may exist in different shapes in the form of ribbons. For example, you must have read about Spirogyra, Erogonium. So they form ribbon-like structures. Okay. Then we have filamentous algae, kelps. For example, they are filamentous algae. So wide variety of forms may exist करते हैं this algae. Many are microscopic. For example, Chlamydomonas. Okay, this is one of the most common example we study in algae. It's microscopic, and some may grow over 100 feet tall. So some sargassum, for example, Sargassum is a type of algae which may grow hundreds of feet tall. They may grow. Algae, they are at the very foundation of food chain and are directly responsible for about 80% of the Earth's oxygen. So algae, which are primarily aquatic, they are at the foundation. They are the primary producers. Why they are called as the foundation of food chain? Because they are the primary producers and they are directly responsible for about 80% of Earth's oxygen. So plants, they are responsible for only 20% of the rest of the Earth's oxygen. Most of the oxygen that is produced, it is produced by the algae. And that too, algae which is present in the marine ecosystems, not the freshwater ecosystems. So marine ecosystems are the main source of oxygen on the Earth. Now coming to classification of algae or the plant-like protists, we have 6 divisions and 11 classes of plant-like protists. So 6 divisions and 11 classes are kept under Protista. So 6 divisions, their name are Chlorophyta, Euglenophyta, Pyrophyta, Chrysophyta, Phaeophyta, and Rhodophyta. Now this classification of these plant-like protists or algae into these 6 divisions, it is majorly based upon the type of the chlorophyll or the pigments present in them. Which type of pigment is present in them, depending upon that we have different divisions and we have different classes under these different divisions. For example, chlorophyta, it has only 2 classes, that is the chlorophyceae, which are called as the green grass algae, charophyceae, which are known as stoneworts. Euglenophyta, it has only one class, that is the Euglenophyceae, which involves euglenoids. The most common example is Euglena. Pyrophyta, it has 2 classes, Tesmophyceae, which involve dinophysids, and Dinophyceae, which includes dinoflagelloids. Then the division Chrysophyta, it includes Xanthophyceae, class Xanthophyceae, yellow-green algae, Chrysophyceae, golden brown algae, and Basilorophyceae, which includes the diatoms. Then the division Phaeophyta, this is the division of brown algae, and it has 2 classes, isogenerate and heterogenerate. And lastly, the Rhodophyta. Rhodophyta, it is the division of red algae, and it has only one class, that is the Rhodophyceae. So here I would like to emphasize upon the fact that this classification of algae into these 6 divisions, it is primarily based upon the type of pigment present in them. What is the type of pigment? For example, in chlorophyta, we have the chlorophyta, euglenophyta, we have chlorophylls A and B. We will be studying those in next slides. So first, division chlorophyta. So of all the protistans, green algae are most like plants. So chlorophyta. First of all, I would like to discuss something about its name. Chlorophyta. Chloro means color or green colored. Chlorophyta means plant-like. Okay. So chlorophyta, in them the main pigment is the green colored pigment, that is the chlorophyll. So these protistans, because of that, these green algae, these are called as the green algae, they are the most like the plants in terms of biochemistry and structures. And some evolutionists, because of this fact, they believe that green algae were group from which the plants evolved. So it is believed that the plants, the higher plants, it will evolve from members of chlorophyta because they have similar biochemistry and structures which is similar to the similar in both plants, higher plants, and in case of the members of chlorophyta. So like plants, and what are these similarities? Like plants, green algae, they possess chlorophyll A and B. So in plants also, the major pigments, they are chlorophyll A and B. They possess cell wall which is composed of cellulose, pectins, and polysaccharides. So in plants, higher plants also, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, and they store carbohydrates as starch in their chloroplast. And we know that in plants also, the major food product, that is stored food product, it is the starch. So these characteristics, they make them very much similar to plants, and because of this, they are believed to have given rise to plants in the during the course of evolution. And when it comes to number of species, it is believed that there are 7,000 known species, which are yet known to scientists, about 7,000 species, and it has 2 classes. First class it is chlorophyceae. These are known as the grass green algae. And examples are volvox, eulothrix, Spirogyra, Edogonium. So this is the colony of volvox. This is a colonial algae. This is Spirogyra with spiral chloroplasts. Then Edogonium is another member of chlorophyceae. Second class it is Charophyceae. Charophyceae, this is the Chara. These are known as stoneworts. Example is Chara. When we smell Chara, they have a characteristic smell. They have a characteristic pungent smell like those of onion or garlic like smell. They have members of this Charophyceae. So chlorophyta, they are most like plants. They have chlorophyll A and B as major pigments. Their body cell wall is composed of cellulose and stored food productive starch. And there are about 7,000 known species, and it is divided into two classes. One class is chlorophyceae and second class is charophyceae. Chlorophyceae key examples like volvox, Ulothrix, Pyrogyra, and Udogonium. And among the members of charophyceae, the most common example it is the chara. Then second division, it is the euglenophyta. As the name specifies, euglenophyta, it must include our most studied euglenophyte, that is the euglena. So euglena is member of the this division, euglenophyta. Now it has about 450 species, and the dominant pigments are chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Here again, there is another pigment present in this group or division, that is the beta carotene. So chlorophyll A and B are similar to the pigments which were present in chlorophyceae, chlorophyll A and B, this chlorophyta, chlorophyll A and B. But in addition to this, in euglenophyta they have another pigment, that is the beta carotene. In them, reserve food material is paramylum and fats. In chlorophyta, the previous division that we studied, in those organisms, in those algae, the primary reserve food material was starch. But in case of euglenophyta, it is not starch, it is paramylum and fats. And members of euglenophyta, they are motile, and they show locomotion by means of flagella. The members of chlorophyta, they may be motile or they may be sessile. If they are motile, they move with the help of small flagella-like structure, like in case of Chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas is also a member of chlorophyta. Now in euglenophyta, they are all motile, and locomotion is primarily by means of flagella. And flagella may be 1, 2 or 3. So as such, they may be uniflagellate, biflagellate or triflagellate. So flagella is anterior and inserted into a narrow gullet. So here you can see the structure of euglena. Here, very thin thread-like structure you can see. This is actual photograph of euglena. Here you can see a thread-like structure which is the flagellum, and it arises from a gullet structure which is known as gullet, which is present at the anterior side of the organism, or the euglena-like or other euglena-like organisms. They may be uni, there may be, that means there may be one euglena, one flagella, there may be two flagellae, or there may be three flagellae in members of euglenophyta. And multiplication in them is by means of binary fission. So they show binary fission as their major as mode of multiplication or reproduction. It has only one class. So division euglenophyta, it has only one class, that is the euglenophyceae. They contain euglenoids. We commonly call them euglenoids, and the most common example it is the euglena, which is shown in this photograph. Now third division, that is the pyrophyta. Now there are about 1030 species of this division, and mainly they are unicellular, and rarely some colonial forms they are present. So in members of pyrophyta there are about 1030 species, and most of them they are unicellular. However, some colonial forms may also exist, but they are very rare. Now in them, the dominant pigments, they are chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, beta carotene. Now there is addition of another pigment, that is the xanthophylls. So in first division, that is chlorophyta, there were only two pigments, major pigments, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. In case of next division, that is the euglenophyta, there were three pigments. Besides chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, there was beta carotene. Now in this division, pyrophyta, there is another pigment, addition of another pigment, that is the xanthophylls. In them, the reserved food material, it is starch or fats. Okay, either starch may be present singly, or it may be present along with the fats. Now cell wall in this case of also it is cellulosic, that means it is made up of cellulose, and when they are motile, they are all motile, and locomotion is again by means of flagella. So in them also the locomotion is primarily by means of flagella. And what is there is another characteristic feature. They are biflagellate. These flagella, they are two in number, and they have two anteriorly inserted. Unlike flagella means they are not of similar size. They are of different size. One flagella will be longer and another will be smaller. So locomotion is by means of flagella. So they are flagellates. Okay, but the flagella and flagella is biflagellate. They show biflagellate condition. There are two flagella, but the two flagella, the one of the flagella is longer and another is smaller. So they have unlike flagella. Now pyrophyta, it has two classes. One is the Desmophyceae. These commonly known as Dinophycetes, and example is Exuviella. This is Exuviella. Actual photograph of Exuviella. And second class, it is Dinophyceae, and it includes dinoflagelloids. Dinoflagelloids, and example is Dinophycetes. So these are dinoflagellates. Another example of dinoflagellates, it is Noctiluca. This is Noctiluca, and these organisms, the dinoflagellates, many of them, they show bioluminescence. Characteristic feature. Some of them, they have this property of bioluminescence. What does bioluminescence means? That they show luminescence. They glow by means of by the action of certain enzymes, some reaction, because of some reaction inside the body, they produce fluorescence. Okay, as such, they are known to produce bioluminescence. The next division, it is the Chrysophyta. Now, Chrysophyta, it has three classes. First, I'll name the classes. These classes are Cryophyceae. These are known as the golden brown algae. Second is the Xanthophyceae. These are known as the yellow green algae. And the third class, it is the Basilurophyceae, which are commonly known as the diatoms. So we have brown algae, we have yellow green algae, and then diatoms. In brown algae there are about 500 species of golden brown algae, about 600 species of yellow green algae, that means belonging to class Xanthophyceae, and the major species contribution of division Chrysophyta, it comes from diatoms. There are about 5,600 species of diatoms which belong to class Basilurophyceae. So largest class of this division, it is the Basilurophyceae, having about 5,600 species. So Chlorophyceae, there are around 500 species. Xanthophyceae, that it has about 600 species, and major chunk of species, they belong to Basilurophyceae, that means the diatoms, and the number of species is around 5,600. And they are free living and photosynthetic. So most of the members of Chrysophyta, they are free living and they show photosynthesis. In their major pigments are carotenes and xanthophylls. So in earlier divisions, we saw that chlorophyll A and B, then beta carotenes and xanthophylls were the major pigments. But in this case, the main pigments, they are carotenes and xanthophylls. Chlorophyll A and B are not the major pigments. In them, carotenes and xanthophylls, they are the major pigments, and because of these carotenes and xanthophylls, they have their color, either golden brown, yellow green, or green color. In them, the stored food is leukosyl and oil. So in members of Chrysophyta, they do not have starch as their food material, they do not have paramylum as their food material. In them, the stored food material is in the form of leukosyl and oils or fats. And from time to time, some species, they undergo stupendous increase in the population size. This event is called as the algal bloom. You must have read about algal blooms earlier also. So some of the members of these Chlorophyta whenever the conditions are very conducive, they reproduce very fast. As such, they cover whole of the water surface with whole of the water surface is covered with these algae. The water it appears green, and this condition is called as the algal bloom. Now, diatoms, members of Bacillophyceae, they have sculpted cell wall composed of silica and occur in a variety of shapes. So we have very beautifully shaped diatoms. Their cell wall it is composed of cellulose, but it has silica impregnated in its cell wall. Because of the impregnation of silica, they show beautiful structures on the cell surface. And diatoms they also come in wide variety of shapes and sizes. All of them they are of course microscopic. The remains of diatoms they have accumulated in the bottom of many lakes, and there are large areas of remains in the underground deposits. These deposits they are called diatomaceous earth, and they are mined for use in insulation, abrasive and filters. So diatoms, when they die, they settle down on the bottom of the water body because of the presence of silica. Silica it is a inorganic compound, inorganic material. It is not decomposed. So rest of the body of these diatoms it will be decomposed, but silica will remain there, and it will form a special type of soil. We can say earth under the water, which is known as diatomaceous earth. This diatomaceous earth it is mined because of its high resistance to heat. It is highly resistant to heat. As such, it is used in furnaces to form the inert lining of the furnaces. And they are also because silica it is abrasive. They are used in abrasive. For example, in sandpapers, we have sand impregnated on the sandpapers. But for very fine abrasives, we use this diatomaceous earth, and they are also used to form filters. Then the division Phaeophyta. Now Phaeophyta, it is a division. Its common name is called brown algae. It is commonly called as brown algae, and there are about 1500 species which belong to this division. It has two classes: isogenerate and heterogenerate. Now, regarding some of the characteristics of this division Phaeophyta, in them the dominant pigment it is phycophane and fucoxanthin. These pigments they are brown in color, and because of this brown pigment, they show. You can see here brownish color is there in this algae. So because of that, they are called as the brown algae. In them, assimilatory products are laminarin and mannitol. So in them, the stored food material it is laminarin and mannitol. They are again complex polysaccharides, but characteristically different from starch and other stored product studied in earlier divisions of these plant-like protists are the algae. Now, cell wall in them it is cellulosic with fucinic and alginic acids. So in them, cell wall is again made up of cellulose, but there are certain other compounds. For example, fucinic and alginic acid are present in their cell walls. Now, nearly all of them they live in cool and temperate sea waters. So most of the members of Phaeophyta they are found in very cold and temperate sea waters, and they are commonly known as brown seaweeds. So they grow like weeds. They grow very large. They grow very long. Some of them attain size of hundreds of feet, like I already told you. So as such, they are commonly called as brown seaweeds. Now, masses of a floating brown algae called sargassum. So there is a type of brown algae which is called as sargassum. So they form a great floating ecosystem called as the Sargasso Sea in Atlantic Ocean. So sargassum they form along these filament-like or sheet-like structures. This is sargassum. So these sargassum it is present in Atlantic Ocean. There they form a forest-like floating ecosystem under the water, which is known as the Sargasso Sea. Now, brown algae, they range from microscopic species to giant forms that form underwater forests in the sea. So there is huge variety of sizes in case of members of Phaeophyta. They can be microscopic or they can be as giant as this. For example, you can see these giant brown algae, and they form underwater seas in the oceans, underwater water forest in the seas. Now they have economic importance also. Some people from the Far East, like in Japan, people harvest kelp, another type of this brown algae, as source of food and mineral salts, and also used as fertilizers for the crops. So, Phaeophyta, the members of Phaeophyta, they are commonly called as the brown algae, and about 1500 species are there. Dominant pigment, they are phycophyne and fucosanthin. Because of this, these pigments, their color appears to be brownish. They appear to be brownish in color. And then the similatory power products or the stored food products are laminarin and mannitol. Salvol, as we studied, it is of cellulosic or fucinic acid or alginic acid, and some of them they grow very tall and they form underwater forest-like ecosystems. For example, Sargasso Sea. Now coming to the last division of this algae, that is the plant-like protist, it is the Rhodophyta. Rhodophyta, here again, from the name you can judge that rhodo means red and phyta means plant-like. So these are red algae. So the members of Rhodophyta, they are called as the red algae. They are characteristic because of the characteristic and distinctive red color. Now there are about 2500 species and all of them they are marine. So the rest of the divisions, in the rest of the divisions, some of the members they were either freshwater or marine, but in the members of all the members of Rhodophyta division Rhodophyta, they are all marine. So none of them they are found in the freshwater. So this has also has to be kept in mind that members of Rhodophyta they are all marine, but rest of the divisions of the algae they are either freshwater or marine water. Now most are branched and feathery in body form and are seldom over 2 to 3 feet long. So they are branched and feathery in body form and they do not grow more than 2 to 3 feet long. And major pigment are phycoerythrin, which is red in color. So in them the major pigments they are phycoerythrin, and this pigment it is red in color, and because of presence of this pigment the members of division Rhodophyta they are called as the red algae, and they store food in the form of fluoridine starch. So this is a type of modification of starch which is called as the fluoridine starch. So in them the stored food product it is the starch, but a modified starch, that is the fluoridine starch. It has only one class, that is the Rhodophyceae, and example is Chondrus. So with this we come to end of the classification of plant-like protists. So if we go through it again briefly, we can say that it has 6 divisions and 11 classes. The names of divisions, we'll start from the first one, are Chlorophyta, Euglenophyta, Pyrophyta, Chrysophyta, Phaeophyta, and Rhodophyta. And they have 11 different classes. For example, in Chlorophyta we have Chlorophyceae and Charophyceae. Euglenophyta it has only one class, Euglenophyceae. Pyrophyta it has two classes, Desmophyceae and Dinophyceae. Chrysophyta it has three classes, Xanthophyceae, Chrysophyceae and Basilorophyceae. Phaeophyta it has two classes, Isogenerate and Heterogenerate, and Rhodophyta it has only one class, that is the red algae. So with this we come to the end of the classification, first part of the classification, that is the plant-like protists. In next topic we will be discussing about the animal-like protists and the fungi-like protists.